Have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens after you take a bite of food? Well, today we're diving deep inside the human body. We're going to follow that food on its incredible journey to see how it transforms into the very energy that powers, well, everything you do.
I mean, it really does seem like magic, doesn't it? One minute you're eating a sandwich, and the next you're using that energy to walk, to think, to live your life. But it's not magic at all. It's this stunningly complex piece of biological engineering. So how in the world does it work? Come on, let's follow that sandwich and find out.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can track that sandwich on its journey, we have to know what it's really made of. And I mean on a molecular level. Turns out, pretty much all the food we eat is built from just 4 key ingredients.
You see, that sandwich isn't just bread, meat, and cheese. It's actually a super complex package of these giant molecules called macromolecules. The problem is, they're way too big for our cells to use as is. So your body's #1 mission is to act like a disassembly line, taking these massive structures and just breaking them down into their tiniest, most basic parts.
So these are the 4 main players in our story. You've got your carbohydrates, that's your bread and pasta. They're the go-to for a quick burst of energy. Then you have lipids, or fats, which are amazing for storing energy for the long haul. Proteins are the body's little construction workers, building everything and making things happen. And finally, nucleic acids, yep, like DNA, which we get from our food and use as raw materials for our own genetic code.
So how does your body actually snap these big molecules apart? It uses this surprisingly simple trick called hydrolysis. The name says it all, really. Hydro for water and lysis meaning to split. Your body literally just adds a water molecule to bust those chemical bonds and break the big chains into little ones.
But here's the thing, hydrolysis is slow. Way too slow for us. It needs a helper, a very specific, incredibly efficient tool to speed things up. So let's meet the real unsung heroes of digestion, your enzymes.
So what is an enzyme? It's a special kind of protein that works as a catalyst. Think of it like a turbocharger for chemical reactions. It finds one specific job to do, like breaking down a sugar molecule, and makes it happen millions of times faster than it ever would on its own. Seriously, without enzymes, digesting one meal could take you years. No joke.
And I love this analogy of them as little Pac-Man characters, because it's perfect. Each enzyme has a unique shape, this little groove called an active site, and it is perfectly designed to fit one and only one type of molecule. The enzyme that breaks down starch won't even look at a protein. They are total specialists. And the process they use is just this beautiful, efficient cycle. The molecule or substrate locks in, the enzyme does its thing, snap, and breaks it apart. The new little pieces get released, and here's the best part. The enzyme is totally unchanged. It's immediately ready to grab the next molecule and do it all over again and again and again.
Okay, so we've got our building blocks, the macromolecules, and we've got our tools, the enzymes. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put it all together and actually follow that food on its journey through the digestive system.
A lot of people think digestion starts in the stomach, but nope, it starts the absolute second that food passes your lips. In fact, just the sight and smell of food is enough to get your body's digestive engines revving and ready to go.
So, right there in your mouth, 2 key things are happening. First, you're chewing, right? That's mechanical digestion, just physically mashing the food into smaller bits. But at the exact same time, your saliva is releasing an enzyme called amylase, which starts the chemical digestion of carbs. That's right, the bread from that sandwich is already being broken down before you even swallow.
Once you swallow, that food mush gets pushed down your esophagus by these waves of muscle contractions. Its destination? One of the craziest, most intense environments in your entire body, the stomach.
So the stomach is basically this muscular bag filled with super acidic gastric juice. This acid obliterates most bacteria, but it also creates the perfect conditions for a special enzyme called pepsin to get to work. Pepsin is a protein eater. It jumps on the turkey and cheese from our sandwich and starts snipping those big protein chains into smaller pieces. After a while, everything is churned into this soupy liquid we call chyme.
From the stomach, that chyme moves into the small intestine. And this is where the real heavy lifting of digestion happens. An amazing organ, the pancreas, senses the food and sends in the special forces. It floods the area with a whole cocktail of enzymes. You've got lipase to tackle the fats, trypsin to continue chopping up proteins, and even more amylase to finish off any leftover carbs. This is where the job gets done.
So we've met all these different enzymes, right? Amylase for carbs, pepsin for protein, each one with a super specific job. But why are they so specific? What's their secret? Well, it all comes down to one single critical feature. To really get how enzymes work, we have to talk about their shape.
To put it simply, for an enzyme, shape is everything. Its function depends entirely on its specific three-dimensional structure. All those little folds and twists create that perfect active site we talked about. If you mess with that shape even a tiny bit, the key no longer fits the lock. The enzyme just stops working. It's useless.
And this process of an enzyme losing its shape has a name. It's called denaturation. It happens when the enzyme is exposed to extreme conditions, like too much heat or a big change in acidity. This is exactly what happens when you cook an egg. The heat denatures the proteins in the egg white, and they go from a clear liquid to a solid white. They've permanently lost their shape, and they can never go back.
And this lays it out perfectly. On the left, a happy, functional protein. It's got its precise shape, its active site, it's ready to go. On the right, it's been denatured. It's just an unfolded, deformed, useless mess. This, by the way, is why a really high fever is so dangerous. It threatens to denature the critical enzymes that are running literally every process in your body.
Okay, let's zoom back out for a second. We've seen the molecules, we've met the tools, we've got on the journey. So what's the big takeaway here? What does it all add up to?
The whole thing, from your mouth all the way down, is basically this incredibly advanced disassembly line. It takes the complex food you eat and, using all these specific enzymes, at every single stop, it systematically breaks it all down into tiny, simple molecules that are finally small enough for your body to absorb and put to work.
And the scale of this whole operation is just mind-blowing. Look at that number. 20 feet. That's roughly how long your small intestine is, all coiled up inside you. All that length gives it a massive surface area to make absolutely sure it can absorb every last bit of nutrition from your food. It's just an amazing piece of design.
And that, right there, is the magic. This whole intricate, elegant dance is designed to do one thing: turn the macromolecules on your plate into the simple monomers your cells can actually use. Thanks to the relentless, precise work of enzymes, that sandwich literally becomes the fuel for your life.
So next time you sit down for a meal, just think about it for a second. Trillions of these perfect little chemical reactions are firing off inside you, all without a single conscious thought. It's this beautiful, microscopic ballet, and it just makes you wonder, what does this invisible world really tell us about the staggering, unbelievable complexity of just being alive?